The leaven of the Pharisees. Pharisees were a religious group that claimed to be God, speaking on behalf of God, leaders of the law, but they were far from God. And everybody who followed them thought they were following God, but they were actually missing the kingdom. And what they were a legalistic, hypocritical group that was using religion to persuade people away from Jesus. And Jesus is saying, if you want to be a follower of me, there's this particular influence that did not die with Jesus' time, is still present here today. And he's saying, if you are not careful, you can find yourself persuaded by a leaven that you think that is God, and it's actually leading you away from me, and it is religion. You know how a virus survives? It morphs. Once there's been something to combat it, for it to survive, it has to morph into another form. It morphs, and so is this religious spirit. I am charismatic. I believe in tongues. I believe in the gifts to flow. And the enemy says, if your heart is not pure before the Lord, he will use the charismatic movement as the leaven. But the problem is, if our hearts are not saying, all I want is Jesus and I want charismatic, I'll be swayed by a new leaven of Pharisees, of the religious spirit that is giving me what I want, but Jesus is not in it. So here's the reality. I remember this particular story of a gentleman who also belonged to a charismatic church as much as I do. And in his service, he was of a charismatic church. He invited a friend, a lady who was of a Catholic church. And he said, I want you to come to the service. And in the service, the worship was on a popping. It was charismatic in nature. The preaching was demonstrative and authoritative. I'm certain they were serving Satan notice, because that's what we do in our gatherings. And when the service was over, he inquired of his friend and said, how did you think of the service? She said, oh, it was wonderful. The worship was incredible. The prayers, the intercession, it was awesome. The pastor's preaching was amazing. And the only question that she had at the end of the service was, so at what point in the service does the church get quiet so they can hear God for themselves? Am I anti this? No, I'm just anti anything that does not require a pure heart before God. And Jesus is saying, listen, I'm concerned for my followers that you don't end up like those that question me.